And so in this tutorial, guys, I am going to show you how to make a lariat. You can use any beads you want. You can make it any length you want. But we're going to do a lasso. I'm going to show you how to do a lasso on this lariat. And use a bead cone with some wire wrapping and a little bit of chain to make a little tassel at the bottom, and jump into it. So in order to start a lariat, guys, and then of course we're doing a lasso, you're just going to basically put a bead stopper on one end and go ahead and string your full pattern, okay? And once you get to the end of your desired pattern, okay, on one end is where we are going to feed on the remaining of our beads to make our lasso. Okay, so that said, the sizing, friends, of your lasso, and we're gonna do it right in a second here, is gonna be, you can make it bigger or smaller depending upon what you are putting through it. So because I have a pretty thin cone and just 4 pieces of chain, I really don't need that big, right, of a lasso to get this to go through with it. So then you're going to feed on a crimp and let your crimp just drop down. Okay, and that's going to be used to secure our lasso. And then go ahead and feed on the beads in your desired pattern for your lasso portion. The end of my wire, and I'm going to go ahead and put it through that crimp and just one of my bicones right here. Okay, and now I'm just going to go ahead and push this all up. Okay, and now you will notice that the reason that I use the smaller rondelles right here is because it's going, you know, they're your last 2 beads right here, they're going to fight for attention to lay perfectly next to that crumb. So it's not going to be perfect, but that's why we used colored wire. It's fine. It's going to be very subtle, so don't worry too much about it. I have the crimp in the divot, but you can see that that moved a little bit right there on that side. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull my wire again, and then I'm going to give it a squeeze. Okay, and I can get rid. We just need a small loop. Just a loop that's big enough that's not going to fall through the other side. No, I'm sorry. That will go inside. When we do the other side, it's going to be on the top there. So we have a kind of a thin cone. So I'm going to just opt to go about right there towards the edge of my plier. And then we'll just go ahead and make our wire go forward, touch the front of our plier, go ahead and pivot it away from us, and grab that small wire, and we'll make our 7 or our L. Okay, just like that. And now we've made our loop. Go ahead, and now we will open that loop. We'll feed on our chain. And you can do that in any way that you want. Like I said, I'm going to do a cascading effect. And so let me get myself all lined back up here and what orders what here. Okay, so this is the shortest, that one. Okay, so this is my shortest piece, so you're just gonna take and feed the last link of your chain on this craft wire, and it's just gonna drop right down inside your loop, okay? And we're just gonna do that with all 4. So we've got that fed on, and you see how it's gone in the loop. So all the chain has just made its way right into the loop there. And of the crystals, and made simple loops on each of them, and then just attached those to the bottom link of each of my links of chain. Okay, so that's what I've done there. And again, you can do that however you want. You can use however many you want. You can even fill it up and make like a cha-cha, anything that you want to do. Be beautiful. Okay, and so now we have our L. Okay, and all of our chain is within the loop. Okay, and we went ahead and closed that up. Now what we're going to do is we just need to put our chain nose over that loop best you can. And we just need to make one rotation of the small wire around. Just like that. Okay, because that's all we need to just secure the chain within the loop, and it's not going to fall off and go anywhere. And we can cut the excess, and we don't need to worry about tucking in the burr because all of this is about to get hidden under the cone. And so that's now what you have. Okay, so just need one or two little tiny wraps right there. Make a tiny little loop depending upon, again, the size of your cone. And now our chain is secured within that loop. As you can see, I put it upside down. It's not going anywhere. Okay? And so now we'll take this and we will feed this right through our cone. Okay? And let our cone go ahead and drop down. Just like that. Okay? And now what we'll do is we are going to do a wire wrap, which is why we held off over here for a second, because we're going to do a wire wrap, and that way it for sure will never fall off this lasso. Grabbed my chain nose, and I've got this pulled all the way down my cone, and we will make a right bend. Okay, and again, we don't need that big of a loop, so we'll grab our round nose and we'll put them right there in the bend, and I'm going to put it kind of towards the end of my plier. I don't need that big of a loop. We'll wrap that wire around to the front. We will pivot the pliers away from us. We'll continue to take that wire and push it to the back. Okay, just like that. Okay, and then we will rotate our pliers again. Now we'll go to the side and we're going to grab that wire and we're going to wrap it around. We'll give it a couple of wraps. You can do a messy or a clean wrap, whatever you prefer. It looks good. And we'll go ahead and trim that off. And now we'll go ahead and tuck that burr in. And as you can see, I did a bit of it's kind of a clean messy wrap actually. But what I did was I went around about 3.5 times. It's the exact width of the top of my cone. And so now we will go back to our lariat, and what we will now do is we will go ahead and feed our tassel on, right? So put your loop right through your wire there. And now we'll take that tail and we'll go around the tassel and feed it through our crimp. And if you can get it through a first couple of beads, that's great. If not, it's okay too. I can get it through. That's even better. And now we'll just go ahead, and again, we are going to make sure that never hurts to double check. We're all coiled up, and the reason we do that obviously is to make sure we have fluidity and movement. And now we're just going to go ahead and pull until we get that pretty close. Okay, and we've got just amount of room that we need for our magical crimper right there. And we'll go ahead and put the crimp tool over the crimp, and I'll pull it a little bit more just to double check. Okay, and we can go ahead and crimp now. And then I'll just keep turning it around within the divot and going around until my crimp tube turns into what looks like a round bead, until I don't feel any tension, basically. And again, this is a really great time to use the magical crimper tool and the magical crimps, because it just becomes part of your design. And as you can see, that kind of just looks like it belongs there. It looks like a spacer bead or something. It doesn't look like a crimp. And then we'll go ahead and get rid of our excess, and we're all done. And I'll show you guys what we got. And so that is what we have for our wire wrapped tassel. It's not going anywhere. And let's just double check that it will go right through our lasso, and it will. And so it's gonna be impossible to get, I think, this whole thing on camera, but I'll try the best I can. So if I lay it out, let me move some stuff, try to get all of it in for you guys. So as you can see, you know, just adorable, beautiful. And you can wear it like this. And there's just nothing wrong with that. But you can also wear it a gazillion ways. So we could, if we want, let's go ahead and, you know, we can just, you know, tie it, you know, like that. You know, you could wear it like that. And then, you know, you could adjust this, however, make it a choker or longer, of course. And the other thing that we want to do is we can put our tassel through our lasso, and then that lasso, as you can see, will slide up and down the full length of the necklace. It's not too much slack. It's really quite perfect. It's a great, you know, perfect size. And so what's cool is you can take this, and then, you know, somebody can wear it higher as a choker, and then the rest of all of this just dangles down, you know, or you can, you know, pretty much just wear that in any way that you want, and then have, you know, the rest dangling down. Can also, you know, take them and, you know, you could go like this, back around, and go back through your lasso. Make like a big old knot right there. That's also cool. I wear mine like that sometimes. And as you can see, make a big old knot, and then you've got a smaller portion like that with your lasso, or with your tassel, you know, hanging down there. So anyways, guys, that is a really quick and easy way, believe it or not, once you've done all the lengthy work of stringing your beads, of how to make a lasso lariat with a wire wrapped tassel with only 2 crimp beads and a little bit of craft wire and a little bit of chain. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Until next time, friends, be blessed.